Hey there, guys, and welcome back to the Travis and Damian podcast, episode 104. We're available on anchor.fm/Travis Damian podcast, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. Today, we're going to be talking about PlayStation, Nintendo, Sonic, Xbox, HBO's The Last of Us, Ant-Man, DC, our most anticipated games of the year, and more. So first up, let's get into our recent activities in terms of what we've been doing within the past 2 weeks in the new year. I'll go first, just because my list is a lot shorter. But yeah, I haven't been doing a whole lot because I'm stuck in this winter class and this shit is stressing me out. This professor is kind of crazy. But I did find some time to finish the John Wick trilogy. My girlfriend has never seen John Wick. So I think like a month ago, I started to introduce her to the films, starting with the first one, obviously. And we recently just finished the third one. And yeah, John Wick is fucking amazing. I cannot wait to watch Chapter 4, which is why we were watching them. Because I'm like, I kind of want to see that movie. And, you know, if I went to go see it by myself, she'd be like, but I want to come too. And I'm like, you're gonna have to watch the other ones. And yeah, it is very good. I did not realize that there were so many Game of Thrones actors in the franchise because when I watched John Wick, I didn't know that they were Game of Thrones people. And it's been so long between those two that I watched because I'm still watching Game of Thrones. But yeah, John Wick is amazing. If you haven't watched the films, like Damian has it.
I watched the first one. Yeah,
definitely go out of your way and watch them. I would definitely rewatch the first one because the world building and the story is definitely like a big part of why John Wick is so good. And the three films take place in a span of like a month. So literally it's back to back to back to back. It's all within one same timeline. So there's not like time jumps or anything like that. Everything is relatively in the same, I guess, timeline, if you will, or whatever. But yeah, very, very good. Keanu Reeves always kills it, and I cannot wait to see what happens within Chapter 4, because I honestly kind of forgot how Chapter 3 ended, because it did kind of end in a very fast-paced fashion, and I was like, they could have ended it there, but it is what it is. You know, they're making more, and I cannot wait to see what happens. The other thing I've been doing is I'm kind of addicted to Teamfight Tactics. This set is just so much fun. There's a lot of different comps that you can do that I feel I have a lot of fun with. For example, obviously brawlers, but that's not the best comp. It was when the set first came out, because people were like, oh, you know, you just run this shit and then you just mow everyone down because you're too tanky. But there's comps like duelists, which I've run, which pretty much just shred the tanks and stuff like that. And then there's the fucking Yumi comps, which I hate. And I think most of the time when people run Yumi these days, they don't get top 4, which is good, because I hate that champion. First in League just ruined the game, and now within TFT kind of doing the same. But yeah, the augments are a lot of fun. I think that's one of the main reasons why I like playing TFT again, is because like the 3 augments that you get, they're kind of like perks in a sense, because they enhance your units and your board in a way that, you know, you can run a certain comp if you want, or it makes it better, or you can pivot to a certain way. So yeah, TFT, I'm just having a lot of fun with it. Every single time I tell myself I'm going to play one game, it always turns into 2, because I'm just like, that fucking first game, I like trolled it or something, or like that was just so much fun. I kind of want to play another one. But yeah, the games usually run like 30, 40 minutes long, so it's not as bad as like League of Legends. Even then, League can sometimes be FFXIV. But I haven't played League since the new season started. But yeah, that's pretty much everything I've been doing.
All right, so I have a lot of things, mostly because I didn't have school, the week before this, and now I have school, but a lot of it turned out to be online, which is nice. And first week you don't really do anything anyway, so I was able to do a lot of stuff. And most of this was like stuff I was already almost done with anyway. So, all right, so first I finally beat Crisis Core, which was the prequel to Final Fantasy VII, the remake, or I guess remaster of the PSP game. And yeah, it was really good. I mean, everything I said before with the comments stuff, I already explained all that in the last podcast. But the actual ending to the game and like the story and stuff was like really good. A lot of people hype up the ending for this game, being like, oh, it's like really sad and stuff. I'm like, it can't be that bad. And I'm like, oh yeah, that was pretty fucking sad. So yeah, it was honestly like a lot better than I thought it was gonna be. Like I already knew it was gonna be good, but I'm like, damn, it ended really well. And I think it's hard for prequels to feel justified a lot of the time, where they feel kind of like, okay, you're kind of just adding stuff for the sake of it. So, and that's why I usually think prequel stories kind of end up kind of not great. And this game kind of has that too. Like with Genesis, like this new bad guy, and he's kind of lame. But I feel like all the other stuff feels like it was justified to be made as a prequel. Like all the stuff that actually matters to Final Fantasy VII. So yeah, honestly, like a great game. And like, if you're interested in Final Fantasy VII and want to know more about certain elements in that game, then definitely pick it up. I think it's definitely worth a playthrough. And then after that game, I was in a really big, like, I just want to keep playing like Square RPGs right now. So I went to finish my Kingdom Hearts 1 plat. I already did everything like 2 years ago at this point. No, it was like a year and a half ago. I already did everything to get 100% of that game, but I still needed to do another playthrough, like a quick one to get the speedrun trophy to beat it in like 15 hours, which is actually really easy because you could beat it in like half that time without even trying. I think don't die and don't change your armor. I just put on easy, and it was pretty easy until the final boss, which was like pretty hard because it has like 40 fucking phases. And it made me sweat a little bit. But yeah, Kingdom Hearts 1, it's still a fun time. It's still pretty janky and stuff, but it's a good time. I'm really looking forward to getting to like the Kingdom Hearts 2 and the other ones after that, because I know it gets like really fun after that. But yeah, Kingdom Hearts 1 is still like pretty good, but I'm really looking forward to like when the gameplay gets like insane. But that won't happen because I need to play Chain of Memories before that. So I decided to start Chain of Memories as well because I was still hungry for more because both of the like Crisis Core I was right almost done with. Kingdom Hearts 1 only took me like another like 5-6 hours to do like the whole speedrun thing. So I'm like, you know what, I could start Chain of Memories. And this game works a lot differently from any other Kingdom Hearts where, it's the card-based one. So you go into, originally this is a GBA game, but they remade it for PS2, and this is the one I'm playing on the PS4 version. So, it uses this like weird deck system where you could put a bunch of cards, and you have a deck of cards, and that's how you attack. So, usually Kingdom Hearts is an action RPG series, not in this game. This game you have to use cards to attack, and it feels really awkward at first. But once you start learning the mechanics and you get like these new things called slates, so you could just attack with individual cards. So you like use a card with X and you do like one attack. But the way you actually like do damage is by stocking up to three cards, and Sora would use those attacks all at once. Or if you put a certain combination of cards, you make a slate, and that makes like a big ability. So if you put like 3 blizzards, you make like a big blizzard attack and shit. So that's kind of how that game works. And when you learn more slates, the game gets a lot more fun, and it's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm like 3-ish hours in, and the combat definitely starts to get a lot better the more slates you unlock and the more cards you unlock and stuff. So yeah, it's pretty enjoyable. I think I preferred the normal action RPG combat that the series is known for, but it's a pretty interesting take. And since the game was a GBA game originally, it makes sense. It feels like it's less justified as a PS2 remake because it's like, I feel like I should just be able to hit these guys without using cards, but whatever. I think it's pretty fun. But just gonna get through that game so I can actually play 2 at some point. I don't know if it's gonna be this year because this year is packed with games, but we'll see. I'll try to make time for it. Next was the patch for Final Fantasy XIV. This was 6.3. I just did the story patch. I haven't done like the raid or anything yet. It's very much a middle patch. Like not too much happens. Like you mostly just fight evil general guys or whatever. Like you get some more like plot stuff, but it wasn't too insane like the last patch. But it was still a good time. I do like that these new patches have been feeling like they've been having a lot more money put into them. There's a lot more voice acting now. The animations are just a lot better now. There's more gameplay in the actual story patches now. Like you have more like you have an instance battle, you have a dungeon, you have a trial you could do. So yeah, it definitely feels like because 14 has been making a shit ton of money recently. Mm-hmm. So it really feels like they've been putting the money into the story patches, which is nice. So yeah, I've been really enjoying all the Endwalker post game stuff. So yeah, good job on that. Next, I watched Avatar: Way of Water. And like you said, it was actually like really good. I kind of went in with really low expectations. Like I think a lot of people did. Whereas the Avatar one was an okay time. I had a good time with it. I couldn't really remember anything about the movie besides like there's the blue guy, the evil general guy, and that's it. And then and then that's about it. And I think they actually fix a lot of those issues. About everything being forgettable in this movie because. It mostly focuses on what's his face's. Now I'm forgetting his name.
Jake Sully.
Jake Sully, yeah. Jake Sully's family. And I think that's for the best. I think the movie's mostly focused on his family, and there are a lot more memorable characters than any of the human characters in the first movie. Like I can't really remember any of the characters from the first movie. So it's really cool to make the story be really focused on family, like Fast and Furious, I guess. And I think it works out really well. Honestly, like you said, you could felt the 3 hours. I was surprised where I'm like, oh, I guess the movie's like done. Like I honestly didn't feel it as much as I did, which is crazy. I thought I'm gonna have that same complaint. I can understand with the middle, the middle they're doing a lot of the like, oh, here's how the water people work and here's what's happening. But I actually really enjoyed that part of the movie. Honestly, the part of the movie that felt like it dragged was honestly the finale, because I felt like they had to save the same people like 4 times. So glad we're back. Okay, I know they made a joke about it in the movie themselves, but I'm like, okay, that doesn't make it any better. You could have like cut one of these like saving them scenes, but yeah, overall it was really good. Obviously the movie looks fantastic. The visuals were great. I watched it in IMAX 3D, which I feel like is kind of how you have to watch it. 3D is great. The visuals are great. The story is very basic, but I think that's okay for what this was trying to do. I think the world building and stuff was, better than the first movie. But yeah, if you're looking for a super deep plot, it doesn't have it. It's very much like, does these people evil and then save the blue people good? So, which is fair, that's kind of what they're going for. But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed the movie, and I'm looking forward to the third one. So yeah, surprisingly had a good time with it.
Yeah. One thing, did you notice when it was like changing frame rates? Because that's
yes, I did.
That's a complaint that one of our friends had, and I was like, I didn't even notice that. I'm just stupid.
I noticed the frame rate changes, but it didn't really bother me. It just like kind of jarring at first. It's like, whoa, that looks smooth now. It was like 60 frames. I think it's like like you said, I think it was all the water scenes. I think they were all 60 frames or something. And a lot of the fight scenes became 60 frames. And yeah, it's kind of jarring at first, but your eyes kind of get used to it by like the middle of the movie when you don't notice it as much anymore. But I definitely did notice it. But it wasn't too disorienting for me. My parents, I told them they noticed, they didn't notice. So I guess it's just like gamer brain. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't notice it. Maybe I'm just stupid.
But yeah, I didn't think it was too distracting. So
okay.
But yeah, and then last is Fortnite. I've been playing I played like an unhealthy amount of Fortnite. I think I'm mostly got it out of my system. Like, I'm still gonna play it for my weeklies and dailies. But I was playing like a lot of it because I had nothing else to do for a little bit. I played level 90 something in the battle.
Oh my fucking god! I think you're higher than me now.
So it helps because I actually want to check out Save the World because I haven't played that since it came out, because I actually bought Fortnite for that, like originally, like before Battle Royale came out. And I mean, they barely updated it, but it's still a fun time. Like, it's still like a 3D. I really like these like 3D tower defense games, and I think the building works better in that mode. I mean, I'm biased because I hate build mode in regular Fortnite. But I think, actually building your defenses against the zombies and like just, making like big trap tunnels where you like funnel zombies in and then you have a bunch of traps and like that stuff is really fun. And it was honestly like really enjoyable. And you get a shit ton of Battle Pass XP from that, which is why it was so high. And yeah, I really do hope Epic, I mean, they probably never will, but I really hope Epic does update it a bit more. At least like fix up the UI, because the UI still looks like really beta-y, even though the game is kind of like officially out at this point. I hope they just give a pass just to polish it up a bit and just like, just give it a little more polish, because it does need a little more love. They added like the new movement mechanics to it, so you can like vault and like do all that crazy stuff, but it definitely feels like it still needs a bit more love. But if you're ever interested in Save the World, it actually is a pretty good time. And if you were a founder like me, you actually do get V-Bucks daily from doing daily quests there. So that's
really?
Sick. Yeah, only if you bought it before 2020. So if you didn't buy Save the World before 2020, then you don't get V-Bucks daily from it. So
I mean, Epic can afford that.
Yeah. So that's pretty sick. But yeah, in terms of the PvP stuff, it's super addicting. I mean, like you with TFT. I play one game, like I could go for another one, and I could go for another one. So yeah, it's just a very addicting game, super fun. Really enjoying Fortnite. Probably get to level 100 and then stop because
at that point you're done with the battle pass.
Yeah, like you could get the fancy, cool, glowy skins, but I don't really care that much. But yeah, it's still a great time. So
that's good to hear. Now let's talk about the general news within gaming, entertainment, and media. So first up, Rayman 4 leaked. So this has been a point of discussion to those diehard Rayman fans from my research. Pretty much after Rayman 3 on the PS2 and GameCube and all that stuff, Rayman 4 was supposed to come out. But when they got the Wii devs, apparently, they scrapped it and then just made or transformed Rayman 4 into Rayman Raving Rabbids, which obviously did well because of the marketing, and now the Rabbids are now teaming up with Mario. So yeah, the fact that everything just leaked, like the source code, the editor, and everything, and we have like screenshots and screen grabs of seeing Rayman in like different terrain and like videos and stuff like that, it's kind of crazy. Obviously, this sort of just solidifies more that, hey, yeah, like this was like an actual story and an actual thing. And yeah, I think that the amount of people that want another Rayman game, not just like, you know, a sequel to Rayman Legends or even just like a Rayman 4, is very much up there. I think that if Ubisoft did decide to put the resources into it, make like a small budget, medium-sized budget game featuring Rayman, I think it would do well again. I think that Rayman Legends didn't do as well because it sort of lost all of its momentum when it was being a Wii U exclusive, and then they delayed it like less than a month out from release because they wanted it to come out on Xbox and PS3 and everything like that. And I think because of Xbox's like sort of terms of services, like if you're going to release on our platform, it has to release all at the same time. So it pretty much just delayed the whole game entirely. But yeah, you know, this is pretty cool to see, especially to those, you know, like I said, diehard Rayman fans that were sort of clinging on to this story about Rayman 4 being in development.
Yeah, I mean, it very much looks like Rayman 3. Like, you know, a lot of the assets are like from Rayman 3 still. Like, they're just, you know, using those same models. And, you know, originally it was supposed to be like Rayman, like, fighting the Rabbids instead of, like, doing the weird minigame shit. So that would have been cool to see. But obviously that didn't come about. And, you know, I mean, it kind of did work out for Ubisoft in the end because, you know, Rabbids made a shit ton of money. And Rayman was already starting to not be as relevant. But it still sucks because, you know, it always sucks to see, like, you know, a platforming mascot die and stuff. Obviously, Rayman came back with Origins and Legends, and they were great, but you know, he hasn't been anywhere since. So I know he's going to show up as DLC in the new Rabbids game, but you know, it still sucks that we're not going to get any platformers with Rayman probably anytime soon. But yeah, it'll be cool if this ever, I guess, if they ever want to like reuse, you know, Rayman 4 and like make it into an actual thing. That would be cool. But I don't know if Ubisoft is going to do that.
Yeah, especially since recently they canceled like 3 projects or something like that.
Yeah, they canceled a shit ton of projects and they're not doing great financially. And even the second Rayman, the second Rabbids game hasn't really been doing well financially, which sucks because I heard it was actually really good. So yeah, that's unfortunate. So yeah, I don't think they're going to take any risk with Rayman at this point. So yeah. Alrighty, so we got a new PS5 accessibility controller, Project Leonardo. So this thing is crazy looking. I mean, but it's cool to see this happen because, you know, I think Sony's actually pretty late with this because, you know, I think Xbox has been doing it for a while now, you know, with these, you know, accessibility controllers. And, you know, it's always great to see because, you know, a lot of people have a lot of different disabilities and stuff. And if you want to play games, you know, they should have the right to play any game they want. Yep. And this thing looks like it will allow you to customize in any way that, you know, will fit your, you know, condition or whatever. So, yeah, looks pretty cool.
Yeah, and it looks like the way that it's set up is that you can mix and match, like, the amount of controllers. So you can have it with just the Leonardo controller along with the DualSense, or you could have 2 Leonardos by themselves along with the DualSense. So there's many different ways for this to be done. Obviously, seeing just the, I guess, like circle controller by itself looks a bit off and a little funny, and it's like, how would this work? But when you dig deep into the PlayStation blog post and see that, hey, you know, like there's many different ways, not just with like the button combinations, but also just like the amount of controllers that you can use is pretty cool. So yeah, obviously PlayStation, within their games themselves, within the PlayStation first party studios games, they're very good with the accessibility stuff. Like the amount of customization that you can do before you even get to play the game is like insane. And, you know, I feel like for me and Damian, because we don't need those features, for the most part, we're just adjusting subtitles or whatever. But, you know, for other people, you know, I know that Last of Us Part 2, God of War Ragnarok, everything like that, even with the new Spider-Man games, they are very much pushing all of those accessibility features, which is very cool. So now that there's a controller for it, hopefully this does work out well, because within their video, they brought in a lot of accessibility consultants. Obviously, I didn't look any of them up, so I hope that they are actual consultants. But yeah, you know, obviously this is a very cool, another step forward within gaming for the very small minority, but hopefully that this controller isn't super expensive. Because like if you have to buy 2 of them along with a DualSense, that's like almost as much as half the price of a console, hopefully. If
Yeah.
not less than that, which I doubt, because that's where most of the game studios get like their money from, is from like controllers and accessories.
Yeah. And, I feel like these controllers are so much weaker than the ones we grew up with. Like, my brother's DualSense already had, like, stick drift. I'm like, I didn't even know they could get stick drift. So, yeah, it's not been great.
All right. So, moving on from there, we got Yuji Naka. He's back in the news. Indicted? Indicted?
Yeah.
I'm fucking stupid. In Square Enix insider trading case, allegedly purchasing almost $900,000 of stock based on insider information.
What Balin does to a motherfucker.
Look, we already reported on this, but it looks like that the numbers are coming out, and we don't have a set date for the trial or anything. But yeah, I mean, when you're going to purchase stock, I think purchasing that much is kind of, exposing yourself. Yeah. So, yeah, obviously what he did was not okay. Obviously, a lot of politicians within the United States do insider trading, whether they like to admit it or not. But obviously within Japan, it's very different, very strict laws over there. So, yeah, I mean, he sort of did this with a egregious amount of money and got caught for it.
Yeah, it's actually still insane that this is like even happening. I mean, Yuji Naka has always like kind of been like an asshole if you really look deep into it with like the whole Sonic stuff, like early 3D Sonic stuff. He's always been kind of weird about stuff. But, now it's just like, oh, like, yeah, actually, like, that was bad. Like, you should have not done this. So, yeah, unfortunate case. I mean, I still think he got screwed over by Square with Balan Wonderworld or Land, whatever the hell it was called. By them not really advertising it, not giving him enough time or whatever. But yeah, this still doesn't really like address that. I don't even know when he started doing this. I don't know if this was like after. It doesn't really have a timeline anywhere from when he actually started doing this insider trading. Maybe he was always doing it. I'm not too sure. But either way, it's still a shitty thing to do. Don't do that. And he's going to jail. And Japan's like, like jail rate is like really high. Like if you're like committed for anything, you're just going to jail. So like I don't think he has any chance of actually getting out. So yeah, that's such a sad way for this person who made Sonic to just go down. But well, there we go.
Yep, it is what it is.
Alrighty, so next we have Nintendo has canceled the mid-generation Switch upgrade in favor of a Switch 2. So, for years, everyone's been asking for a Switch Pro. And I think all that really died when the OLED version came out. Because it's like, okay, this, like if we were gonna get a mid-generation upgrade, it would have been like now. And according to Digital Foundry, apparently Nintendo was planning on doing a mid-generation Switch. Like everyone was calling it the Switch Pro, but decided to scrap it in terms to focus on the next generation of Switches, which Switch 2. We don't know if that's what it's called yet, but it's kind of what we're going for right now. And honestly, I think that's the right move. Like I think with the OLED coming out, at this point, it's just like, just make a Switch 2. I definitely feel like the Switch is in desperate need of more power. And if they could just make basically the new generation of Switch, I'll be okay with that too. Like, I don't even need games on Nintendo consoles to look as good as like a PlayStation 5 or anything. I really just want consistent frames and stuff. Like that would be really nice. Like even though, some of my favorite games like Xenoblade 3 still kind of struggles with frame rate just because, the Switch is such a kind of a weak console. So it'd be nice to really have that steady frame rates and stuff. And I'm glad that Nintendo seems to be keeping with the Switch formula, because I feel like, there was reports way back where it's like, oh, we're going to go back to having a handheld and a console, which makes like zero sense to me at this point. Since I think the mobile market kind of consumed the handheld market, like at this point. Like I think if Nintendo try to make a full like DS successor, it won't work. Like I feel like making a hybrid console is the way to go at this point. So yeah, that's a pretty smart move by Nintendo. But if they could just make the Switch but stronger, I'll be down with that. So yeah.
Yeah, I find that this to be kind of crazy that a lot of people started to report on this based on Digital Foundry's, I guess, like little podcast segment. So obviously I did watch the clip to make sure that it wasn't just like a whole story not in Smash thing again. And he brought up the fact that, according to developers that he has spoken to personally, not Digital Foundry himself, but the co-host that he had on the show, was pretty much like, according to the devs, there was going to be like a mid-generation upgrade, sort of like a PS4 Pro, kind of deal, but it looks like that they aren't going to move forward with that, which, like you said, Damian, does make sense at this point. A lot of Switch games just don't run correctly, as far as I know. I haven't bought a lot of the newer Switch games like you have, but I can just tell by the Twitter clips and just seeing how things are running, it's not looking good.
You don't want to look at Pokemon running at like 5 frames?
Look, we already knew that the Switch is a lot weaker than the PS5 and Xbox Series X, but to the extent where the games are not even running correctly and the frames are just all over the place is not okay. And obviously they are scared to do a sort of Wii U situation again, where the Wii U really did bomb in terms of how good it was supposed to be, and because of that marketing. So they're being very careful with how they're going to do things, whether it's going to be called the Super Switch or whatever sort of next name they call it, whether it's going to be a whole completely different name scheme. I doubt that. All I hope is that they do keep with this whole dual sort of console going, with it being a actual home console, but also if you want, you could take it on the go with you. Because like you said, the whole mobile market really did kill sort of handheld gaming. Like there's no way you come out with a brand new 3DS, DS, whatever, and it's going to do well. It's not. It really is not, just because of the way the internet is and how everyone just has a smartphone now. Like, it's just not going to work. And that's why PlayStation has ditched the Vita, and they sort of quietly killed that off without really making a official announcement or anything. They sort of were just like, all right, yeah, no, we're just not doing it anymore. So yeah, I mean, you know, at this point, if they're going to do a Switch 2, it's not going to come out this year, maybe next, hopefully in 2025 at that point, because the Nintendo Switch is kind of old. It came out in what, like 2017? Yeah,
17,
somewhere around there, I was thinking. So
it came out when Breath of the Wild came out. So,
so yeah, it is still, you know, pretty old at this point.
Yeah, 6 years old at this point,
relatively speaking. So I think that having a brand new sort of generation for it is going to be nice. And I think that if they stay with the sort of cartridge base, if we're going to be able to have the backwards compatibility feature, which is sort of a thing of the past, which is unfortunate. You know, when I look at my PS5, you know, I could play PS4 games, which is very nice.
Very nice, yes.
Because, you know, for the longest time, ever since, I guess, like the PS3, Xbox 360 era, you know, it's been, I guess, sort of accepted that you don't need backwards compatibility, because, you know, the Wii's started taking in GameCube games, and then the PS3 obviously didn't take PS2 games after the first $600 model. So hopefully whatever new Switch model that they come out with, it is going to be, or should I say the brand new Switch 2, if you will be backwards compatible.
Yeah, I really think that's a must at this point. Like, I was always miffed that the PS4 wasn't backwards compatible with the PS3. But, you know, honestly, if the PS5 wasn't compatible with the PS4, that would have really docked it a lot of points for me. Because, you know, I play obviously a lot of PS4 games that I missed out on, or that I just want to replay on my PS5, and I feel like the Switch should really be the same. Just keep the same cartridge-based thing you got going on, just make the console stronger, and that's good. You know, that's good enough for me, man. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't see any other reason for them to sort of stray away from that.
Yeah.
All right, so next bit of news we got is Sega teasing more Sonic in 2023. So if you guys are familiar with the Blue Hedgehog, he has had a very successful 2022, I would say, you know, with the Sonic 2 movie, Sonic Frontiers, and obviously Sonic Prime, which I still need to watch. You know, everything has been so far so good. Obviously, there was a one stinker with Sonic Origins not being as great, but hey, you know, you can't win them all. So taking a quote translated from the post from Sega's boss, last year was the biggest year in Sonic history, starting with the film sequel, followed by release of the new games Sonic Origins and Sonic Frontiers, and the Netflix animation Sonic Prime. This year we are preparing a second wave that will delight fans and maintain the momentum. We have already announced the distribution of additional content for Sonic Frontiers, but there's plenty more to come, so stay tuned. Yeah. Pretty cool. I know that there was a leak about new Sonic Lego sets, which is going to be pretty cool. I have the first one. I just haven't built it yet. But yeah, if they sort of keep within that same sort of, I guess, like structure and the way that those Lego sets are built, I'm all for it, because they've been doing more with like Nintendo stuff. I know that they did like a NES one and also like a Atari one, and obviously with like just like the regular Mario Lego sets. So yeah. Yeah,
you know, I think Sonic really did had a great year last year, and hopefully keep up the momentum this year a little bit. Obviously it won't be as many projects because everything kind of just came out last year. But hopefully the DLC is good for Sonic Frontiers. Hopefully that's better than we're thinking it is, with the different playable characters and all that. And hopefully I think the movie's coming out next year.
Something like that.
Yeah, so Sonic, he's relevant again. He's kicking. So yeah, hopefully he could keep it a momentum and he won't have as many stinkers as before, because Frontiers was a good step in that direction, and in a good direction. So
yeah.
Alrighty. So next we have Sony being buttholes a little bit, and why certain games aren't on Xbox. So Sony, whenever they get into agreements with third-party, publishers and stuff, they have an exclusion of Xbox when they want to, fund their game and stuff. So like, Final Fantasy VII Remake by Square is a part of that. Like I don't even think it's still on Xbox. Now that I think about it, Bloodborne is a famous one. That's only on PlayStation 4. I know people are begging for a 60 frames version on any other console, but it looks like they're locked to PlayStation for now. Final Fantasy 16 and the Silent Hill 2 remaster will also be on PlayStation consoles. Well, it could be on anything else but Xbox, because they're on PC as well. It is not on Xbox, which is sad to see. It makes sense when it's a Japanese studio, I guess, because they don't really see a lot of value in Microsoft or Xboxes and stuff, because like no one in Japan has one. Square Enix has usually always been Sony or Nintendo, never really Xbox. But still, it always sucks to see like no options at all for these for anyone that's playing on an Xbox. I think it's really dumb, and I think if you want to have like a 6-month exclusive period for your console, I guess that's okay because competition or whatever. But I feel like after that year or so is over, it should be on everything. But a lot of these games still are not on Xbox and probably never will. I don't really know when any of these games will ever be on Xbox. But if you have a PC, you kind of live the best of both worlds. But it's still really unfortunate to see this stuff happen.
Yeah. I mean, we always knew that Sony and PlayStation just don't play nice at all. They are very ruthless within their game exclusivity things. So the fact that they sort of require a exclusion from Xbox is something new and something that I think a lot of us really didn't see before. I guess them saying it's exclusive to PlayStation is also another way for them saying it's not on Xbox. But yeah, like you said, it is very much a thing that Square Enix doesn't really do a lot of things on Xbox in general because of the market within Japan that a lot of them don't have Xboxes. They really do gravitate towards PlayStation or Nintendo. So seeing that all of these Square Enix games are not coming to Xbox makes sense, but the Western audiences are sort of just sitting here with their Xbox and being like, well, shit, I got nothing else to play. And it sucks. I know that Bloodborne is a major case of people wanting to see either a remake or a PC port or something like that, but it seems like that From Software isn't touching that just yet. Obviously, they recently just had the success of Elden Ring, so we'll see where they go from there. But yeah, having these third-party studios sort of locked in for Sony and PlayStation makes sense in my eyes, just because, like I said, they're very ruthless. They very much do not care. They will do what they can to get people's wallets and get them to play on PlayStation, because once they have you locked in for that console, that's pretty much all you're going to play or have for that generation. And even if you don't play, they already got your, $500-$600.
Yeah, it's obviously these are impacts I don't feel as much because I've always kind of been a Sony guy. Like I've always had a PlayStation ever since I was like a baby. So I've never really felt the impacts of it too much because a lot of the Xbox exclusives don't really interest me as much as the Sony stuff. But yeah, it still sucks if you have an Xbox and you just can't play any of these games. I'm still that's why I never like it when people, all the Sony fanboys, get like angry when it's like, oh, why is God of War on PC? I'm like, just let people play it. The game is great. Like it's okay. And we got to play it for like 4 years before anyone else. So like it's fine to let everyone else play it. Like I think exclusives are kind of a double-edged sword, but it could be healthy for the gaming climate because obviously companies want to make sure their consoles have better exclusives than the others, so it makes the quality of games higher. But it could also be the other end where it's like, okay, now no one can play these games because of these weird licensing things, like third-party developers are only on one console and stuff like that. So yeah, it's kind of like a weird mixed bag of stuff. But yeah, it's always hard to talk about exclusives like that because I do think they're kind of good to like really push these companies to make good games, but also kind of bad because not everyone can play them. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, exclusives in general, it's sort of just like capitalism, right?
Yeah, kind of, yeah. It's just competition or whatever.
I had a conversation with my girlfriend when we were first dating about this because, she loves watching Hassan and, Hassan's not a capitalist. I forget exactly what he is, but he hates capitalism. And I was just like, well, when it comes to games, if everything's on one console or whatever, would like the quality of games still be the same or whatever? And that's sort of like, I guess, like the conversation that we're having right now, where it's like, all right, yeah, Nintendo has their set of games, PlayStation has their set of games, and Xbox has their set of games if they have any. And it's like, okay, each of them is trying to encourage the other to make better games in a sense, because even though that Nintendo is sort of playing their own field, even though they're playing their own field with something like Zelda Breath of the Wild, which is like a lot of people's favorite game of all time because of how good it is in terms of like being a open world game and how freeing it is as a video game. It's like, wow, like they made that and they were sort of doing their own thing. And then, you have Sony over here who's sort of also doing that in a sense, not necessarily revolutionary games, but just making like really top tier games. And then on top of that, just going to these other third party studios and being like, well, you can make this game, we'll help you fund it, but it can only be on our platform. Or like another thing with Square Enix with the whole Avengers thing, that Spider-Man's only playable on there, which, at first I was like, do I buy Avengers now? But I was like, it's still going to be Avengers. And yeah, it was dog shit anyway. So, and then you have Xbox, who has a lot of like studios under their belt, but they play very friendly with pretty much everyone. Like they have most of their games come out on Xbox, but also on PC. So, to those people like us who have a PC along with a PlayStation and a Switch, it's like, okay, we still have a chance to play these games. They're just not going to be, on a console, if you will. So, the exclusivity thing, like you said, is a double-edged sword, and it does thrive competition, and it sort of gives everyone a sort of reason to make better games and sort of, do the best that they can. But at the same time, it's like, well, you're sort of locking people behind a sort of plastic box, if you will, because they have to buy this certain console if they want to play this certain game.
Yeah, it's always a tricky situation. Like, I still think games would be good if there was technically one console available. Like, I think, games would still be good, but we probably wouldn't get as big budget games because, I feel like companies or publishers would be like, well, we don't really have to, like, put as much money or anything because, this like everything is in one console. Also, it'll be harder to stick out as well because it's like, when the next Sony first party game is coming out and stuff. But without that, it'll just be another game coming out. So it's weird. It goes into the whole capitalism thing, and I'm not smart enough to talk about that. So
same. I don't know jack shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is what it is. Moving on from there, we're going to talk about the HBO's The Last of Us. So there has been a lot of news just because it is coming out this Sunday. So obviously there have been clips and things like that, but I think one of the biggest things is that Neil Druckmann, he has said that they will not go beyond the games. They will not tell stories that were not, I guess, within the game's timeline. So I think that is very good. I think that depending on how well this show does, they might do spin-offs with it. Maybe look at other characters before everything happened. Like if they want to do something with Sam and Henry, I think that would be pretty cool. Or even other stories involving the other characters within the show if they're down for it, obviously. But yeah, it looks like that they're just not going to go beyond the game. So whether that just means that they're only going to stick to the games, that means no spin-offs, or if they're going to branch off into other things, who knows? Because obviously this is a joint project with HBO. So if HBO wants to do something else because, it's profitable, we should do something else with it, etc., etc. They can do it. Obviously, I have not watched any of the clips. I'm sort of trying to, be in my own lane, not try to spoil myself as much as possible, because I do feel like that this is going to be a very faithful adaptation, and I don't want to sort of overhype myself or give myself of that false expectation, despite me being a Last of Us fanboy, if you will, especially of the first game. I'm just curious how well the show's going to do, because obviously everyone's putting out their reviews of the first episode only because that's all they've seen, and I feel like episode reviews like that don't necessarily do a whole lot for me. I feel like episode or reviews of the whole project is like a lot more grand and a lot more meaningful. But yeah, I'm obviously excited to watch it on HBO. But if they're just gonna stick to the games and sort of stick with that, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I think a lot of problems people have with, like, I guess video game adaptations is, like, usually stray pretty far away from the source material. I guess that's really anything, I guess, from like anime or like movies based on books and stuff. Like, people get mad when they stray too far away from the source material. So, if this is going to be a really faithful recreation of the video game, then that's pretty good for anyone that's really looking for that faithful, just sort of storytelling and stuff from the games. Though I do wonder if it's like worthwhile to watch, even if like you already played. I mean, I played it really recently because I never played it before. So I'm wondering if it's like too redundant to like watch it because I already like know things. I haven't seen any reviews either. Like, I don't know if it like adds another like more things to it or whatever in terms of like enjoyment just from it being a show now. But I'll probably check it out anyway. I have HBO Max, I might as well. But yeah, I think if they could really capture that magic that the first game has, and I guess the second game, then that would be great for general audiences. Because like I said before, it seems like a very, easy thing to consume as a general audience member. Like, it's just a zombie show at the end of the day with like a bunch of hardened characters and stuff. So I'm sure it will really resonate with a lot of people. So looking forward to seeing how this really propels the series forward. And because Naughty Dog is really going hard right now on The Last of Us. It's been obviously it's been rumored that I think Factions might come out this year, maybe not, but they say maybe. Which is the multiplayer of Last of Us. It's going to be its own standalone thing now. And apparently there's supposed to be like a director's cut of Last of Us 2 coming out at some point, which is probably just a next-gen upgrade of that game as well. So yeah, they're obviously going super ham on this series. I think Naughty Dog likes to do this a lot whenever they have a new thing. Is like, okay, like Jack got a shit ton of things, Uncharted got a shit ton of things, and now Last of Us is now it's time to get milked a bit. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see whenever they do a part 3 or whatever, if they are doing a part 3. But yeah, hopefully this is a good thing for this series.
Yeah, it does seem like that Naughty Dog is very much holding on to The Last of Us, even though I feel like a lot of us are wanting them to do something new, including myself. But as long as it's good, as long as it's fun to watch and enjoyable for not just for us as Last of Us fans, but for other people, why not? Them adapting this as faithfully as they are compared to the Uncharted movie. Sure, fuck it, why not?
Yeah, the Uncharted movie was All right, so next we got the Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania trailer. I thought it was really good. I think there was another thing where I said it, but the tone was like very
dark.
With dark. Oh, it's Guardians, right? Yeah, like Guardians also had like a pretty darker tone and like a more serious tone, which I think is what a lot of people are really wanting at this point. Like people don't. I think people are kind of over the overly jokey MCU humor. I think Thor really killed it for a lot of people. Where like, they're like, okay, no more of this. I do agree. I think it's time that we actually like start moving on whatever the next major threat is, because like I think I said this before as well, the MCU feels a little aimless right now. Like there's a lot of things going on, but also feels like nothing is happening. So now that we actually are having like Kang the Conqueror actually do something, like obviously he was in Loki at the end of Loki, but that was more introducing his character and stuff and like sort of opening what he's gonna do for the future of the MCU, but we haven't really seen anything too much of that yet. So it's gonna be cool to see like a version of Kang in this one right now, and seeing him be like a major threat. Like, because I want to be like afraid of this guy. I think like Thanos is threatening enough just by being there. It was like he and he was cool to see in Infinity War and Endgame and stuff. So I kind of want to have that same feeling with this guy as well. But yeah, I really like the tone of this trailer. There's some sussy things with like there's MODOK apparently. MODOK is in this, and I think it's in like 57 seconds. You kind of see his face, and he kind of looks like George Lopez from like Shark Boy and Lava Girl. Stop. And it's like a little bit. So that's a little concerning. Hopefully the CG is like better than the past few movies. But yeah, overall I'm really liking the tone a lot. I haven't watched Ant-Man and the Wasp. I know you hated it. I probably should watch it. I know you told me not to, but I probably am going to do it anyway. But yeah, what do you think of the trailer?
I mean, yeah, Ant-Man is by far one of my favorite characters within the MCU, not just
Yeah,
because
I like Paul Rudd.
Yeah, Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd's very good. But also just because I feel like that the movies, Ant-Man solo movies are really, really good. The first Ant-Man is one of my favorites. The second one, not so much, just because they sort of did a lot of things that were not good, is what I'll say. But yeah, I mean, like that movie itself, it sort of came out in a weird time, right? It came out after Infinity War. So I feel like a lot of people just didn't watch it because they were like, I'll just wait for the next Avengers. And most people watched the next Avengers and it didn't really miss much other than, Ant-Man sort of being trapped in the quantum realm for a little bit. But yeah, it seems like that this movie is going to explore that more and also introduce Kang the Conqueror, which, is going to be freaking awesome. I cannot wait to see how this movie actually pays off in sort of the much more serious tone. They're doing a lot of comparisons to Civil War, saying that this movie is sort of like the Civil War equivalent, which is kind of interesting, especially because Civil War was actually my introduction to Ant-Man as a character because I didn't watch the solo film before seeing Civil War, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of obviously like CG and shit like that. So hopefully the VFX artists aren't killing themselves because
probably aren't.
We will talk about that later. But yeah, it just seems like that this movie is going to be really, really big. And yeah, I mean, I did not expect this movie to be as important to the MCU as it is being marketed as. So it is pretty cool. Obviously, Scott Lang and how everything's sort of being set up, him being tricked by Kang sort of makes sense. Kang's the bad guy, and how, Scott's motives are being like, well, I missed out on a lot of time because I was in prison and shit like that. I want to get that time back. And I feel like a lot of people feel that same way about their lives in a sense. I mean, like I used to feel that way when I was in high school where it's like, shit, like I could have done this differently, done this, done that. And yeah, it is what it is. It seems like it's going to be a relatable story. So I think that is pretty good to make that. And yeah, this trailer overall just gives you a much better idea of what the movie's going to be about. So cannot wait to see how it all actually plays out.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, so next we got a pretty big thing. Sort of like inside of what The Rock did at DC, according to Variety, and also the plans for the Flash's future at DC. So first, let's talk about The Rock because, I watched Black Adam and I thought that it was a pretty good movie for what it was. It's not like the best superhero movie out there. It's not the best DC superhero movie anyways. But, this is a movie that they have been trying to make for years and years and years, and it finally got off the ground. And obviously, The Rock is a pretty big part of it. He has been pushing this for a while, and he was kind of pushing the envelope in terms of like his power at DC is how I put it. So first up, The Rock, this is directly from the article, quote, The Rock directly pitched CEO David Zaslav. I don't know how to pronounce that last name.
Zaslav, I guess.
Maybe. My apologies anyways. On a multi-year plan for Black Adam and a Cavill-led Superman in which the two properties would interweave, setting up a Superman versus Black Adam showdown. So obviously that's sort of what he was teasing at the end of Black Adam with Henry Cavill returning as Superman and sort of being promised that role and everything. So yeah, the way that The Rock was doing this was because there was like a power vacuum within the lead positions that started to leave. So yeah, as one person describes it, Dwayne went around everyone, which didn't sit well. He was even requesting a producer credit on DC League of Super Pets, but, quote, did little to promote it, end quote, which I find to be kind of ingenuous because I looked at his Instagram because I saw this like image for like one of the quote retweets for a article talking about this. It was like he actually did promote it a decent amount, and I went to go check his Instagram, me personally, and yeah, he did post like a lot of different videos, photos, etc. on the DC League of Super Pets. He was actually like promoting it like a lot. So yeah, it does seem a little weird that they would say that he did little to promote it. And then this one's kind of funny. He was insisting on a tequila bar at the New York premiere of Black Adam, even though the movie was PG-13. And also, I think the tequila that he was serving was his own tequila. So, my man trying to get the bag,
Yeah, Jesus.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson, But yeah, it is what it is. It's kind of like when you're like a super big, well-known Hollywood star and you're sort of like trying to push how far you can go because, he knows who he is. He knows he's Dwayne The Rock Johnson. He knows that people will go to theaters and see his movie because it's him in it. So seeing him actually push, the envelope this far is kind of funny. Do I blame him for it? Not necessarily, because, he was just trying to take advantage of what opportunity, quote unquote, the opportunity that was given to him. But yeah, it does seem a little sus. It does seem a little weird, but it is what it is.
Yeah, he was going like way too hard. Like, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like not a lot of people even knew who Black Adam even was. I mean, he's the villain of Shazam. Like, and he's like, oh, I want to have a big battle versus Superman. Now, I'm pretty sure Superman beats the shit out of Black Adam, doesn't he? Like,
I have no idea.
Yeah, like I feel like their power level probably isn't as like equal as he thinks it is. But yeah, it's pretty interesting to see how much he was really gunning to be like a major face for the DCU. Obviously this was before James Gunn kind of like, scorch earth everything. But, I again, like I said in the last time, I think it was for the best that James Gunn kind of is doing what he's doing, because I feel like, yeah, the DCU really had no direction. And that's why The Rock was like, well, I mean, I guess I could do something with this. But yeah, like his direction seems to be more focused on him. I'm not saying Rock is a bad person or whatever, but he was trying it looks like he was going for an opportunity to try and grab it. So I can't really blame him for that. But yeah, pretty interesting to see just how far he was really trying to push Black Adam like as a central figure into DCU. So yeah.
Yeah, it definitely does seem a little interesting that, he was like, well, there's not a lot of, people that are in charge that have been here for a while, and, I'm The Rock, so let me see what I can do. And obviously, like, he did get some things moving, because he did get Henry Cavill back to play as Superman within that end credit scene before everything, fell apart. But yeah, it is very interesting to see, I guess, like, one perspective on the whole behind the scenes of everything that happened, because obviously, like, The Rock knows if any of this is true at all, and he knows whether or not this stuff is actually factual, but this is from insider information, if you will. But last part of the story is that the Flash's future. So obviously a lot of people, including us, are sort of questioning, why is Ezra Miller still part of this DCU sort of timeline? Obviously, they put a lot of money into the Flash movie just because it is a movie on Flashpoint, and they brought Michael Keaton back for that and everything. But, they canceled the Batgirl movie so quick. Why would they keep this one around? So this is a quote from the article. Given that Ezra Miller has stayed out of trouble since beginning mental health treatment in the summer, some executives are amenable to continue with the actor as the world-saving speedster after The Flash bows on June 16th, end quote. So, white man does bad thing, but, he gets a slap on the wrist for it. That's pretty much how I read it. Yeah, it is going to be very controversial if he actually does stay.
I'm just surprised because, obviously, like, nowadays, like, if anyone does anything, usually you're, like, gone.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting to see how many awful things this person has done, and they're still like keeping them like on the production. Is just like, yeah, just get rid of them, like, what I mean? Like, even if you're like, oh, you're in good behavior now, like, what, like, I don't know. I definitely feel that movie still should get canceled, but they're definitely not gonna. They probably can't afford to, I guess, because they kind of like, they've been kind of in the rut right now. But yeah, I don't know, I just don't see the point, especially I hope like James Gunn is just like, all right, you released that movie? Okay, none of that's canon anymore. Because that'd be very funny.
Yeah, it does seem like that this may be like a thing above James Gunn that he has no authority over, where it's like, this movie's coming out, whether you like it or not. He's like, hey, fine, like, it is what it is. I think that Ezra Miller as a person, I think recently it was like announced that he broke into some house in Vermont. Oh my God. And like he's being like charged for it or something for like stealing alcohol and shit. And I'm like, what the fuck is this guy doing?
Dude, just buy it.
Yeah, I don't know. This guy seems very unhinged, very crazy, especially for the shit that he was posting on social media like a while ago. It was like, whoa, what the hell is he doing? He's literally playing cat and mouse with the police on social media, which was amusing, but also kind of like, what the hell is he doing?
It's just reverse Flash. He's making reverse Flash.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, kind of interesting.
Jesus Christ.
But yeah, do I want the movie to bomb? Kind of. Will I go see it in theaters? Maybe, possibly. I have no idea. Probably not. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see when that movie does come out, if at all.
All right, so we have more DCU news. The Matt Reeves Batman sort of series is going to be its own thing from the DCU. They call it the Batverse now. So yeah, James Gunn is just like, hey, yeah, you could keep doing what you're doing, which is good. I really like the Batman. I thought it was really good. They have a lot of interesting things going on, and you can obviously see it that it could be more movies. Obviously, they're doing the Penguin show now or something. Yeah. So they obviously have more ideas for this sort of this Batman series, and it's cool that James Gunn's kind of respecting that and letting it be its own thing instead of interfering with it. I'm not sure if this Batman is actually going to show up in the DCU. Hold on, let me. I don't know if he said that here.
Yeah, I don't think so. Because if it's going to be its own separate thing, it would be kind of weird for them to interact with the other, I guess, new DCU people.
Yeah, so probably gonna get another Batman.
Yeah, probably gonna cast someone else as Batman and see where that goes. Maybe they'll do some sort of crossover or whatever eventually. But yeah, I mean, it makes sense to have the Matt Reeves stuff be separate from everything that James Gunn is planning, because the tone of this is obviously very dark and very gritty, and it sort of sets Gotham as a place where it's yeah, this is not a fun place to be in. And
I don't think Gotham is ever a fun place to be in.
Yeah, but this one looks really fucking bad compared to the other movies, especially when you look at it from the last Batman solo films with the Batman Begins, Dark Knight Rises, etc. So having it separate, I'm all good with. I'm glad that James Gunn is recognizing that, hey, if we're gonna do our own thing, maybe we should just do our own thing. So
probably also because Batman is just the strongest IP they have. I think it could stand on its own without really any help. I mean, same thing with Spider-Man. If Spider-Man, I mean, obviously not the Sony stuff, but I think Spider-Man, for the most part, could kind of stand by himself as well, just because of how strong of an IP Spider-Man is. So Batman kind of works the same way, where you could do whatever with him and he'll be fine. He doesn't need any of the other DC stuff to work. So I'm really happy about that, because I really like the Batman, and I'm looking forward to more to see how that sort of Batman evolves throughout the movies. So yeah,
I think that as long as Matt Reeves stays consistent with it, he works at it, keeps making these movies, I'm sure that we're gonna have another great trilogy of Batman films once again.
Yes.
Okay, so next piece of news. This one was kind of thrown out of there yesterday. Justin Roiland, the co-creator of Rick and Morty and most recently High on Life, has been charged with domestic violence. So yeah, this is kind of crazy, especially since Rick and Morty fans are in fucking shambles right now. But yeah, I mean, it is very bizarre for this to even happen, but the guy made Rick and Morty. Not to say that that's a key sign, but hey, I guess this is just to show that once again, celebrities and public figures, you don't really know who they are. You just know for their work, and then once they do a bad thing, it's oh shit, what the fuck, kind of thing. And the charge was all the way back in May of 2020. So kind of crazy. I'm glad that the person that is charging him with this is being anonymous, because I'm sure if they went public with it, they would be number one enemy among Rick and Morty fans, which are already kind of crazy as is. But
yeah, very unfortunate. Whenever you read stuff like this, it's oh no. So yeah, that really sucks. But hopefully things get settled in their favor,
court.
Not his favor. Yeah. Hopefully they get things back and they win the court case and stuff. It's actually a really smart move that they didn't say this person's name, because again, fan bases are crazy, and usually they're always gonna side with the person that made the thing they liked, even though that's dumb. Because it's just because they make a thing you like doesn't mean they're a good person necessarily. I mean, Notch made Minecraft, but he's a massive asshole, so that doesn't really make him a good guy. So that's pretty unfortunate to see. I mean, I watched the first 3 seasons of Rick and Morty, and it's it's a good show. I really enjoy it and stuff. High in Life, it was it was a fun time and stuff. But with things like this is always really disappointing to read and stuff. So hopefully things get settled, in her case, and things could, hopefully just isn't an asshole anymore. So yeah.
Yeah, and Justin Roiland obviously hasn't said anything yet. I'm sure it's because his lawyers are don't say anything yet. But I'm sure once it all blows over, he'll probably talk about it and hopefully, say what he did wrong
or something.
And, air it out, if you will, because this is probably going to be the one thing people are going to ask him a whole ton once he gets back on the sort of like, I guess, like press reeling or whatever for like the new season of Rick and Morty, or if he does another game like High on Life or whatever.
Yeah. All right. So next, got Netflix being assholes again. So they canceled anime project Inside Job, which is a, adult animated show on Netflix, despite it being previously renewed for season 2. So yeah, this was a real asshole move to do. Usually when things are renewed, they're good, right? I don't really hear too many things of being renewed and then straight up being canceled. Especially because they left the show in a cliffhanger apparently, and they were super short, because I think they were confirmed for 2 seasons. So they were confident and like, okay, we could end in like a cliffhanger or whatever, and then they got screwed over by Netflix, and now none of it is happening. The creator, right, said like a whole tweet, being that this really sucks. And she puts a lot of energy into like all these characters and stuff. So yeah, that really sucks. I heard good things about the show. I think it starts off kind of like a Rick and Morty clone, but it kind of evolves past that after a certain point. So yeah, that's always disappointing to hear. And a lot of animated projects get dunked on a lot on Netflix. Like I think Cuphead also got canceled because they kind of stretched. They made 1 season, but they split it into like 3 seasons technically. So I think that's kind of how Netflix is sort of getting around these sort of you technically had 3 seasons. Same thing with Sonic Prime. Like Sonic Prime is like a whole thing, but they cut it into like 2 or 3 different like seasons, which is really scummy to do. But yeah, that's very unfortunate for the creator and the fans of the show.
Yeah, it does seem a little weird that they are not weird. The weird thing is that recently they tweeted a quote from Guillermo del Toro.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I'm like, wow, I can't even read the fucking room. Jesus.
About animation, and I'm like, Guillermo del Toro did say that, and he does have a project on Netflix. But at the same time, you literally hate animation projects where you're sort of just cannibalizing your catalog, where it's like, this is a 1 season thing. It didn't do so well because we didn't let it cook long enough. Fuck it, it's scrapped. It does seem like Netflix is being their own sort of, they really are shooting themselves in the foot every single time they cancel something, because it is just bad press on them, like 100%. And it sucks that, especially for something like this, because we don't, as far as I remember, we didn't really talk about when they like mass canceled like a whole bunch of shit. Maybe we mentioned it, but with this one in particular, it's like it was renewed for a season 2, and then they're like, never mind. Because it's like, why would you do that? Because like it seems like Netflix has this thing, and I think I saw this tweet a while ago. I couldn't find it, but it was a tweet about like Netflix's problem where like they have a show, a brand new show, brand new IP, everything. And then it's not like a Stranger Things like pop off kind of show. And then they're like, fuck it. It failed. No more. And it's like, why would you do that in a sense? I feel like canceling a show after like 2, maybe 3 seasons is reasonable. Obviously everything costs money, and you're sort of putting your faith into other creators to make your platform good. But that's how Netflix runs, like that's just how it's going to be. And because there's so many shows on Netflix that live on the service now that are just 1 season, 1 and done, it's like it's hard to get people to invest into these shows when they know that like, like there's nothing else to really look forward to. Obviously, I think that may be a reason why a lot of people don't watch the Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon show, despite me and Damian being like, that's like the best adaptation of Spider-Man to date. Yeah. People don't watch it because it's like, like it's not going to end well, because like it doesn't have like a clear, concise ending because it got canceled, which is fair enough. But at the same time, it's like that's a really good piece of entertainment. And I'm sure that there's a lot of shows, not just animated projects, but just shows in general that live on Netflix that are like, yeah, there's like a really good show, but there's like no other content past this 1 season. And I feel like a lot of people do talk about like Netflix shows like that, where it's like, yeah, there's only like 1 season of it, but it's like really fucking good. And I feel like for me personally, and I feel like for other people, when they hear that, it's like, do I really want to watch that? Because it's like a 1 and done thing, which may be attractive to some people, but it's like, I kind of want to get invested into it kind of thing, Mm-hmm.
No, I agree. It's just really unfortunate how they treat it. Mostly because like, I think a lot of Netflix animated projects are like really good. Like, like obviously like Arcane is like really amazing. But also things like Cyberpunk, Sonic Prime is really good. The Castlevania stuff was really good as well. like all these like stuff are like just really well done, and seeing them treat it kind of like bad is really unfortunate, especially because they keep pumping out these shitty like original Netflix movies. I'm like, okay, markets are cheaper to make because again it's like a one and done thing, but still it's really unfortunate to see like their catalog of like good stuff always dwindling as soon as they got something good. So and in terms of like watching things as like, oh, it's only one season and like there won't be any more. Yeah, it's also hard for me to kind of get invested now. Obviously, like Spectacular Spider-Man, we were watching that when it was coming out because we were watching when we were kids and stuff. Yeah. So we didn't know. But now, I mean, I still would recommend it obviously because it's amazing. But I could understand if someone's like, oh man, I don't know if I want to get invested and like there's no payoff or whatever. Same thing with these shows is like, oh, I barely got invested and it's over and there's no more. So yeah, it honestly is just kind of a city situation for everyone. And Netflix has really been trying its hardest to be like a shitty fucking streaming service at this point. It's like, all right, can't pass your share anymore. We're raising the prices. We're moving all these shows. So yeah, definitely not a good look on Netflix like at all.
Yeah, Netflix has definitely not been the good guy of the streaming service in a while. They have been the most dominant and most prominent within the streaming space because they are Netflix. But at the same time, it's like they're sort of losing that lust. And I feel like within the past few years, people have been noticing that. And they've been going to other streaming services because, they have shows and have things that they want to watch. People are obviously on Disney Plus because they got the Disney legacy of like everything. So Netflix really do have to step up their game, and I feel like now it's like maybe a little bit too little too late, especially since because they're still canceling projects, and I guess they're trying to strategize how they want to budget their things, because obviously like me personally, like when I go on Netflix, it's like obviously like a lot of those one-off really terrible movies, but at the same time there's also those like reality shows that people watch because they know they're bad but like they're entertaining, and I'm guilty of that. And then there's other things that are, like the foreign stuff, like the Asian shows, such as Terrence's House. I think I mentioned that a few episodes back. Like that's a very interesting sort of reality show that's different for Western audiences like us to experience, where it's like, oh shit, like you have like these 6 Japanese people who just live together. They're all different people. They're all different, like creatively. They all have like a job, a career in mind, and they're all trying to figure it out together at the same time, learning who they are about each other, et cetera, et cetera. So, Netflix, not to say that they don't have any good stuff, but they just don't let a lot of the things cook or marinate for a while because,
let them cook,
hold up, let them cook. But like, they just don't let them do that. They honestly are like, it didn't get the numbers that we expected. Shit, it's canceled. Or for this one, for example, you're going to get a season 2. And then like, months later it's like, never mind, we're sorry. And it's like, what the fuck? Because like I'm sure that there are people, not just the obviously show's creator who has been sort of making up this show in their mind, but now it's like, all this work I just did, scrapped, can't really do much with it. Maybe they could leak it online and then see what happens there, but the full show and its animated final project is never gonna come to be because they don't have the Netflix funding behind it.
Yeah, just sucks.
It is what it is. All right, last bit of news here is the Inside the VFX Union Brewing in Hollywood by Vulture. So I think Vulture were also the first outlet to really blow up on the Marvel VFX thing, and this is just another big feature-length article to discuss that. So yeah, it does seem like that Marvel is once again the sort of big bad guy of this whole thing because of their sort of really not knowing what to do, the directors really not knowing what to do with the VFX stuff, and the amount of VFX work within the amount of time that they asked for it. So yeah, and obviously the whole pixel fucking thing that they talked about last time, yep, it's still here too. Obviously because of the rate that they are coming out with these Marvel shows last year and the year before, it was like, holy shit, like how do they keep up with it? They fucking don't, because some of the CG just looked awful, and it's not necessarily the VFX artist's fault. It's because of Marvel's sort of schedule and their timeline and how they want things to be done. And because they are Marvel and they are Disney, it's like they have a very strong stranglehold on the VFX industry. And it's like, well, shit, if I don't work for Marvel, what other jobs are there? There's not a lot to really pick from, unfortunately. So it's like, all right, do I slave away for 7 days a week trying to get this shit done, being underpaid at the same time, which is kind of crazy that they are underpaying these fucking people to make these movies and shows look as pretty and good as they are. And it's like, well, fuck, what do you do? It's kind of hard to go up against Disney when they have so much power within the space, like I said.
Yeah, to do. It's it's kind of hard to do like sort of like a union when it's like one company kind of owns a majority of like the franchises, and they really don't like unions. I could speak for that. They really don't like it. But it is very unfortunate because you think with how much money Marvel makes and Disney makes in general that they could pay these artists way more, give them more time, but they don't. I mean, even if you did throw even more money at them, like you still needed a lot of time to do this stuff. So I think they should really sort of slow their roll a bit. Maybe release less shows per year, less movies per year, make them as high quality as possible. We don't need like 6 shows in like a year or something.
Yeah.
Like you could definitely like make it like at least maybe 3. Like you could definitely cut that in half and have the shows be of a better quality, both in terms of like writing and in in visual effects as well. Just take your time, make the things good. I think for some reason, like Marvel just want to pump out as much stuff as possible, and I feel like that has to be diminishing returns at some point. And we're starting to see that with the lackluster CGI because these people aren't getting paid enough. They're not getting enough time to do to make these scenes look as good as they can. And it definitely doesn't help when like 80% of a Marvel movie is CGI. So yeah, that doesn't really help the case either.
Yeah, and on that point, it's like in the article, I think within like the second paragraph, it's like within the average feature-length superhero or sci-fi movie, there might be 1,600 VFX shots. Within, I guess, like a Marvel movie, there's like 300,000 or 3,000, I should say, 1,600 and now 3,000. It's like, why do you need that many more VFX shots? It's just because they like using CG for some reason.
Yeah.
They plaster everything with CG and it doesn't look right, especially, Spider-Man fans are as vocal as they are, like us. And some of them have made videos sort of being like, why does Spider-Man suit look like this? It doesn't have like this sort of like rippings or anything like that. It's because it's fucking plastered with CG over it for whatever reason, because they want that look. They want it to look as perfect as possible. But it's like, this is a suit we're talking about. This is like a fucking high school kid wearing a Tony Stark suit or whatever. So it's like, all right, yeah, you can definitely cut down on the amount of VFX shots and maybe teach your directors and sort of how they should operate around that because, we saw with Avatar: The Way of Water. Obviously, that movie's been in development for a fuck long,
like a decade or something.
Yeah, too long, honestly. Yeah. But at the same time, like when it came out, it's like, wow, this shit looks beautiful. Like this shit looks like it's real life, and some people need that. Some people want that sort of escapism where it's like, all right, yeah, like a CG shot isn't gonna fucking take them out of the experience. Obviously, like Marvel stuff is a lot more normie and a lot more just like, oh, like Moon Knight's going to look weird here, but it's okay. It is what it is kind of thing. But at the same time, it's like maybe they should, like you said, slow down. And I think that they are sort of reevaluating like their schedule and their timeline to be like, all right, well, this first phase, we pumped out a lot of shows and most people didn't fucking watch them. And a lot of people had problems with the shows as well, to those that did watch them. So why is that? So they're probably reevaluating everything, and I'm not sure if they're ever going to sort of let up on this whole CG thing, because I hope that they do, but I don't think that they will, just because Marvel's very much stuck in their ways. And on top of that, being stuck in their ways, they do a lot of last minute things like within the post-production where they're like, we need to like reshoot this whole like final act again, because it's like they came up with something new or whatever. Because I think that's how with the whole Iron Man snap thing at the end of Endgame, they thought about that towards the end of like when the movie was being made, which is like fucking crazy. It's like you got Robert Downey Jr. back in the studio and you had to pay him again to do that reshoot and everything. It's like, what the hell are you guys doing? It's like, as much as they would like to say that they had everything planned from Iron Man 1 from 2008, they didn't fucking plan this shit to be all the way. Yeah, no, they did not plan as far as they did. They saw what happened with Avengers and then they were like, oh shit, like we're actually like onto something. And then I feel like that's when they really started to be like, all right, well, let's try to plan something out in a sense. And, so far it's kind of worked, kind of not in a way. But yeah, I hope that these VFX artists, are able to find a way. Like you said, it is very hard to go up against Disney. So maybe they'll have to go and get the courts involved or something like that. Maybe one of them is going to sue Disney and Marvel, who knows? But yeah, I'm sure that as long as they keep pushing the pedal on this, sort of applying pressure for Marvel and Disney to do something will eventually happen.
Yeah, hopefully that happens at some point, or else we're probably going to get like a writer strike situation where they just don't do anything and then like everything suffers because, you know, until they get paid more. So honestly, I'm kind of hoping for that at this point. You know, I'm pretty sure we're going to get some kind of VFX like strike at some point if this continues. But yeah, hopefully the companies just give them what they need and, you know, everyone could just be happy. So
yeah, like if Mandalorian season 3 gets delayed, if the Marvels get delayed, if whatever Marvel, Disney, Star Wars project gets delayed, I don't give a fuck. Just get these people their money, give them livable sort of hours to work with, along with having a social life, and, you know, just fix everything that you've been doing as being like the industry's biggest bully, if you will.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So that is it for the news. Now we're going to talk about our most anticipated games of 2023. So we have a somewhat short list of games here that we are going to talk about. So I think that the first big one we should talk about is obviously Insomniac's Spider-Man 2. This is probably a lot of people's most anticipated games of the year, and it is mine personally, just because I really loved Insomniac's vision for Spider-Man and the way that they have been crafting this world and this universe, if you will, and what they did with Spider-Man Miles Morales, being able to introduce him sooner rather than later. I'm all for it. You know, having him be a additional player within Spider-Man 2 is very, very exciting. I felt like that might have been something within Spider-Man 3. But hey, you know, they dropped Spider-Man Miles Morales on us to launch it with the PlayStation 5. Fuck it. Hell yeah. I'm all for it. So I hope that this game delivers on that. We got Kraven the Hunter and Venom as like the two main villains. So that is pretty exciting. I wonder how all that's going to work out and what stories that they're going to adapt from the comics and sort of make their own. Because obviously if you played the games, you know that the story is a little bit different. Not going to spoil anything, but yeah, these stories are sort of different from what the comics are, which I am all for, as long as they are, you know, being faithful and not, you know, making anything too crazy and too outrageous, which it looks like that they are not. We haven't seen much of the game yet, but I'm sure it's going to be good either way.
Yeah, we're probably going to see a lot more of the game like now, and I'm very looking forward to it. You know, I'm really excited to see what they're going to do in terms of gameplay and stuff. You know, I'm pretty sure you could just have Miles be as he is from Miles Morales. Obviously, you could add some new like Venom attacks or whatever. But, you know, I think Miles played like perfectly in that game, so it'd be cool to see him like just play as him again. With Peter, I think they could do a lot of really interesting things as well. You know, depending if you get like the black suit or something. Like I don't know what they're gonna do in terms of story or whatever, but I feel like that could be a good way to make him even more different from Miles and stuff. Honestly, he had like a lot more gadgets and things he could use as well. But I feel like if you could, you know, maybe bring the symbiote or something, that'd be really cool as well. And yeah, I'm just really looking forward to how the story progresses as well. Like I really enjoyed the story of the first game, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how they continue on with this version of Spider-Man. And obviously, I love Insomniac. I love Spider-Man. You know, it's a great match made in heaven for me. So yeah, hopefully you could explore more in New York as well. Like not just I'm pretty sure it was just Manhattan in the first game. So
yeah,
if you go to like the other boroughs or stuff, that'd be kind of cool. But yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do, but it's gonna be very interesting, and I'm definitely very excited for it. You know, I think it was both of our favorite games of like 2018, so I'm very looking forward to the sequel.
Yeah, I think that to those people asking for like a multiplayer thing, I hope that they don't do that, because I feel like
weird.
Yeah, so. Because it's like this has been like a single player sort of driven series so far. I think adding multiplayer into it is going to be a little jarring. You know, have it be like Gotham Knights. No, I'm not for that. As cool as that would be, I'm not okay with that. I think that if it was a different game, like a separate game entirely, sure, why not? But for Spider-Man 2, nah, I don't want
They might just go for like a switch on the fly thing. Like you can maybe like switch to like Miles or Peter like in an instant. That'd be a good way to kind of like keep the combat going and stuff. Like, you know, you could do pretty interesting combos or whatever if you could do that. So yeah, I'm really interested to see how they kind of play into the whole dual like character thing they got going on. So that'd be pretty interesting to see.
Mm-hmm. All right, so next, what game do you want to talk about?
Let's talk about, we can talk about Kirby real quick. You know, Kirby, they're remastering Return to Dreamland with Return to Dreamland Deluxe. You know, obviously it's getting, you know, it's being a little prettier now. I think it has a little more cell shading now. We got two new copy abilities now. They have the robot like Gundam one, and they just revealed the sand ability. So you could use sand now. Obviously, I love Return to Dreamland. Like, it's one of my favorite Kirby games, so I am pretty excited for this. But, you know, I'm starting to feel old when I'm like, does this game need a remake? And the game is, like, over 10 years old at this point, I think.
Yeah.
I think it just turned 10, I think. Oh, no, or maybe 11 years. I don't know. But either way.
It came out in 2011.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, shit. So, yeah, now I'm like, shit, now I feel old because I'm like, yeah, I guess these games are, like, old. And, like, you know, back then we were getting remakes of games that were, like, less than, like, this, like, amount of years old. So, I you know, obviously I'm a big Kirby fan. Looking forward to it. I love Return to Dreamland. I'm hoping they kind of bundle, like, a Triple Deluxe and Robobot for the Switch as well. That'd be really cool. You know, just to have them on modern consoles, like, why not? You know, because Robobot is like probably one of the best Kirby games. Yeah, you know what? It is like the best Kirby game. I don't think there's that much debating over that fact that Robobot is like basically perfection in terms of 2D Kirby. So yeah, hopefully those games find a way onto the Switch as well, because I think a lot of people, you know, especially because, you know, a lot of new people came into the franchise with Forgotten Lands, so I think it'll be cool to see them sort of like, you know, come in with the 2D games as well. So yeah, definitely looking forward to that game as well. I think it's coming out, what, March or something? I forgot.
Yeah, it's coming out relatively soon. If you could look that up for me as I
discuss.
Let me see. But yeah, Return to Dreamland. This is one of the most later Wii games, I would say, if that even makes sense.
Yeah, it was really late Wii game, yeah.
Yeah, it came out pretty late within the Wii's lifespan, so because of that, when the Wii U came out and people were trying to look for this game and try to buy it, I think that it was pretty expensive. Nowadays, it's like a $30 to $50 game, which is still kind of high, in my opinion, especially
it's end of February it's coming out. February 24th.
So it's coming out sooner rather than later. But yeah, you know, this is one of the better Kirby games just because it really started up this whole Kirby 2.5D style from Kirby Return to Dreamland to Triple Deluxe to Planet Robobot, etc., etc. So it is going to be pretty cool to sort of go back and replay this game because I haven't played it since I bought it in like 2015, 2014, something like that. It was a few years after because I was like, do I really want to drop like however much money that the game was going for at the time? But
I did.
I think Nintendo did eventually reprint it, which is pretty cool, which is why there's now so many copies that float around that $30 to $50 range. So yeah, you know, this is a game that I think that a lot of people are excited to jump back into, especially Kirby fans. But like you said, you know, if they do decide to package the 3DS games, I'm all for that as like a deluxe version or whatever. But yeah, you know, this is a game that I think a lot of people are excited for, and hopefully, you know, newer Kirby fans could jump into this one and enjoy it as much as we did when it first came out.
All right, you want to talk about one?
Pikmin 4, obviously. This is definitely my most anticipated game on the Switch. It's been a while since I've been excited for a Nintendo Switch game, but you know, Pikmin 4 has been in the works and sort of floating around the industry ever since Pikmin 3 came out, which was in like, I don't even know, maybe around 2012 14? Or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Or, yeah, 2014, actually. Yeah, 2013, 2014, yeah. So, and obviously Pikmin 3 recently got the deluxe version on the Switch because, you know, the Wii U didn't do so well. So they were like, fuck it, we'll just put it on the Switch because no one really played it. And yeah, I haven't played that version of it yet, but I can safely say that Pikmin 3 on the Wii U is like really, really fucking good because you can use the gamepad to like sort of move the three captains around willingly, and the Wiimote and nunchuck combo is like perfect. So I wonder how the Switch Joy-Cons work on the deluxe version of Pikmin 3, so I can sort of get a feel and a idea of how Pikmin 4 is going to work out, because we don't know anything about Pikmin 4 other than that it's another Pikmin game. You know, we don't know if they're going to do a 4 captain setup, which I don't think that they would do, because that's a lot of people to, you know, sort of manage and stuff. I'm hoping that they go back to a 1 captain setup, whether it's a new character or with Olimar. I'm all for it. But yeah, Pikmin 4 is my most anticipated Switch game, which may be a little controversial when we got Zelda on here. But
I really need to play this series. Like I have all of them. Like I even bought the one on Switch, the Pikmin 3 Deluxe. So I really should do that at this point. That's been on my bucket list forever. So yeah, I really should get on that because you know, hopefully Pikmin 4 is good, and I know a lot of people were waiting a really long time for it. So yeah, hopefully it turns out good. And I guess we get the last Switch thing out of the way. Zelda, you know, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, finally coming out, you know, after years of it being a thing, we are finally going to get it. And, I really hope we get more trailers for this game, in the future, which, obviously we are. But, right now, the only thing I still know about the game is Link is in the sky and he falls down a lot. And that's the only thing we've really seen. So it's kind of hard to get really hyped for it when that's all I've seen. But just off it being a sequel of Breath of the Wild is enough to make me excited still. Obviously, I love Breath of the Wild, one of my favorite Zelda games, behind no, it probably is my favorite Zelda game. I always fight with myself if I like Wind Waker or this game more. But either way, Breath of the Wild is a fantastic open world game. I think it really revolutionized how a lot of companies or different game developers do open world games with how many people copy off Breath of the Wild nowadays. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to see what they've been doing for all these years and how different it is from Breath of the Wild, how similar it is, how they could refine mechanics. Hopefully they get rid of the whole weapon durability system where weapons break after 2 hits, because that was kind of annoying. There's a lot of things they could fix from Breath of the Wild to make it an even better game. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to Tears of the Kingdom. I think that's not really a unique opinion, but definitely looking forward to it. I almost keep forgetting it's coming out this year because it's been around for a while. So I'm like, it's actually coming out this year. So yeah, definitely looking forward to Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, it's definitely, just like with Spider-Man 2, one of people's most anticipated games of the year, and it's not on my list personally, but I can definitely see why people are very, very excited for it. I haven't finished Breath of the Wild, but I can recognize it as a really, really good open world game and sort of see why it is as influential as a lot of the other Zelda games that have come out previously, like when Ocarina of Time came out and things like that. So, this Zelda game, it seems like that it's going to try to maybe do that again. Obviously, all we know is that maybe the sky is explorable, and maybe they're gonna do some Skyward Sword nonsense. Who the hell knows?
What's my loft wing?
But yeah, people are very much excited for this because Breath of the Wild really did touch a lot of people's hearts and really did give them a very enjoyable experience. Not to say that I hated Zelda Breath of the Wild, but I just didn't finish it. And I really cannot really find myself to get into a 3D Zelda game yet. I have not found one that I could really fall in love with and really just keep playing.
Yeah, if they ever bring Wind Waker to HD, you'll probably like Wind Waker.
Yeah, I should definitely try it on the Wii U because I have it digitally from that Club Nintendo Rewards year, the last year or whatever that they did it or something like that. So, but yeah, Tears of the Kingdom seems to be shaping up as people's most anticipated game of the year, just like with Spider-Man, despite them not really knowing much about it. So.
All right. You want to go?
Sure. Screw it. We'll talk about Star Wars, the Jedi Survivor. So, that game obviously did very, very well. The first one, Jedi Fallen Order. It surprised a lot of people, especially because it came out towards the end of, I think it was 2019, 2020, something like that.
I honestly forgot when it came out.
Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. But yeah, that game came out towards the end of 2019, actually.
Okay.
So it came out towards the end of 2019, and it was wow, this is a really good Star Wars game, which is surprising for a lot of people because it's Star Wars games don't really get that kind of rep. And it was a very good original story as well. I haven't finished it yet, but I know that from my little time playing it, it was very, very fun. These sort of Soulsborne combat style where you really can't just run at stormtroopers and just slash them up. There's really a methodical way of doing it. And I know certain story points and things like that. It is pretty cool to see those characters appear, and I hope that Jedi Survivor doesn't necessarily lean into that, but it gives us more of that fan servicey stuff that Star Wars fans know and love.
Yeah, honestly, I was really blown away by the gameplay reveal they showed in the Game Awards because I was like, holy shit, this looks really good. Obviously, I really liked Fallen Order a lot. I beat it and everything. But I think the glow up from that game to this game looks insane. The combat looks crazier. You can do a lot more things with your lightsaber. You could use the Force in really cool ways. You can use the dude as a body shield or doing stuff. It looks so good, and I'm very much looking forward to it. And I honestly think it looks like a Game of the Year contender as well. Just from all the other games that are coming out, which is saying a lot because there's a lot of big heavy hitters this year. But Respawn looks like they're putting a lot of work into this game. It looks like it's really showing, and I'm really excited to see the rest of the story as well. I think Cal is a pretty cool protagonist. Definitely looking forward to Jedi Survivor. It looks like a really fun time, and it looks like they're really perfecting that lightsaber combat from the first game, which was already really good. Like you said, it goes pretty hard into the Dark Souls aspect of it. So the combat feels really weighty, which I think really works with like sort of lightsaber duels and stuff. So yeah, definitely looking forward to Jedi Survivor, which is coming out pretty soon as well. It's coming out like March something. So yeah, an early game that's gonna be here already. So yeah, looking forward to that. I guess I could talk about my most anticipated game, which is not Diablo 4. It's Final Fantasy 16. So yeah, Final Fantasy 16, I'm very excited for it, mostly because it's made by the same creative division behind the people that made Final Fantasy 14. So a lot of the same people that worked on that game are making 16, and it really shows from like the tone of the game. So even like the dub is like very like, they like their British voice actors and stuff. So it was like, wow, this sounds exactly like Final Fantasy 14, even the music and everything, because it's the same composer. So I'm very excited. I mean, Final Fantasy 14 is like one of my favorite games ever at this point. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how they do like the own original like big Final Fantasy game like that's not an MMO, because I feel like 14 is really good because it could build off a bunch of expansions, and the games are just really large in general, so they could really build up these giant story arcs. But it's gonna be interesting to see how well they do that in like a one game thing, like how well they could build up all these characters and like this world and like a sort of like a maybe 60-hour adventure or whatever. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. Hopefully they could make this game a banger so people really like be like, hey, these guys are really good, because I've been yelling at people how good they are for so long. So yeah, I am very excited for this game. Even the combat, I know the combat is a very different departure from normal Final Fantasy because it's just DMC at this point. But hey, I love DMC, and if you can make DMC with like a sort of Final Fantasy theming, then I'm okay with that because it looks pretty sick. So yeah, really looking forward to Final Fantasy 16. Hopefully it's good and like sticks the landing. I'm probably, this is my most anticipated game this year. I'm really excited to see what they do with it.
All right. My last game here I got is Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection. So if you guys don't know, Mega Man Battle Network is a, I guess, like RPG series spin-off of like the Mega Man stuff. So and I watched the Mega Man Battle Network show on what was it, like
probably
CW
like,
or some shit.
I thought it was gonna be like what was it called?
Kids.
4Kids, right?
Yeah, 4Kids.
Yeah,
so
4Kids.
yeah, I used to watch that, and obviously when I was growing up, I had Mega Man Battle Network 4 Red Sun, and I think that's like a pretty common one among people our age, around like 24. So
yeah,
I mean, it's cool that we're gonna get a collection with pretty much every single Battle Network game, along with both versions of both versions, which is pretty cool. It is supposed to be coming out later this year. We don't know exactly when, but yeah, I mean, these games in and of themselves are pretty expensive to buy, like the cartridges of. Obviously, emulation's a thing, but if you want to actually like play it on a original Game Boy Advance, it's like, you're gonna be coughing up some pretty good change for these games, which is a little crazy, especially because I still remember when Game Boy Advance games were not that expensive. So yeah, it is very, very cool that they are coming out with this collection, and I cannot wait to jump back into not just Red Sun, but also try out all of the other games that are within here.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. Because as a kid, I didn't like the games. Like I remember playing them. I'm like, I don't really like this. But that was also before I became a giant JRPG freak, and like I just like all this stuff now. Yeah, I used to be a very different person back then. I basically only liked action or platformers back then. Now I'm like a fucking RPG fiend. But and I've always been really interested in trying them. Like later on, because obviously I love Mega Man in general. So it'd be cool to finally play the Battle Network games because I know people love them to death. So I'm looking really forward to playing them. And I actually did play a game that was really inspired by this. It was called Eden Zero or something. No, what was it called? I forgot what it was called. Road to Eden. That was what it was called, I think. I'm like, Eden Zero is the anime. Yeah, I'm like, that was the anime you were talking about. I know I had Eden in the name. No, I think it was Road to Eden or something like that. It was like a roguelite that uses this exact same battle system where you have like the grid and you move like this. It was super fun. I'm like, oh shit, is this what Mega Man Battle Network is like? So yeah, I'll probably really enjoy it now as well. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that game as well. And the last game I have here is Diablo 4. Unfortunately, I'm very excited for this game. I say this because, there's been rumors that there's a lot of crunch happening. There's a lot of bad things behind the scenes. Blizzard in general has not been in a great spot. Like they've always been in trouble and stuff. But man, the gameplay they've been showing looks really good. I'm really liking what I'm seeing. I just like Diablo in general, so I'm really hoping this game nails it and it's good. But there's still a lot of concerning things about this game, like all the things I just mentioned. It's a live service game. There's going to be seasons and all that fun stuff. So I'm wondering how much that's going to really impact the gameplay loop in general. Like if it's maybe it's too focused on its live service aspects and kind of strays away from its like original like just loot stuff and just play the game how you want. But yeah, I'm still really looking forward to the game. I think it looks really good. The gameplay they've been showing looks really great. So yeah, hopefully Blizzard doesn't fuck it up and it's good. But yeah, as you can see, there's a lot of great games coming out this year. A lot of big games as well, So my game of the year list is gonna be pretty insane this year. But yeah, and there's some other game. Obviously Fire Emblem is coming out next week. I didn't put it here because I'm gonna talk about it next week anyway, or next podcast. So yeah, obviously there's a lot of big games coming out. So yeah, this is looking like a really good year for gaming. So yeah.
And also, we don't know about the surprise drops like for this year.
Yeah, you're right.
For like last year, I think it was like the Pikmin World remake that sort of came out of nowhere. I didn't play it yet. I have it, Klonoa too. So hopefully we get some more of those. But yeah, is there anything else you would like to add, good Sa?
No, I think that's everything.
All right, so thank you guys for watching the Travis and Damian podcast,
you
episode
2-player
104.
podcast. Yeah,
shut up. I was like, my brain switched for a second. Anyways, thank you guys for listening to the Travis and Damian podcast, episode 104. We will see you guys 2 weeks from now with another episode.
See ya.